Hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, I'm Sonic the Hedgehog here, and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom for the Nintendo GameCube, PlayStation 2, and of course Xbox, specifically for those three systems. So, because again, the PC version doesn't count because it's more accurately a mini-games fest or something like that, but then again, I'll point out some specific details about any other versions of this game out there. So, anywho, last time we have managed to able to get things started by simply exploring around on Goo Lagoon, despite we have some bit of average runs here and there, despite there are some confusing standpoints, especially noticeable with how the fact that we have no idea what we're going to be expecting it to, and especially noticeable how the fact that we somehow accidentally ignored one of the next missions, which appears to be by the forms of that particular Squish puzzle. So today, we're about to be continuing things on in Goo Lagoon, and hopefully, we should be able to actually just to go ahead and grab some more golden spatulas, and grab some of these remaining pairs of socks, and hopefully, once that has been done, we can able to actually move on to the next boss fight later down the road. But I'm not going to explain things specifically on this part, just because, well, obviously because we haven't exactly got into there yet. So, obviously today's day is of course the 10th of June today, in this case in 2020, and then what has been happening for the sake of today? Well, obviously still busy playing through other Nintendo Switch games in my whole entire life, such as of course Kirby Star Allies, as well as Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, Mario & Rabbids Kingdom Battle, and also same applies to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Assuming if the actual the Breath of the Wild sequel will be still in development, but I don't know exactly when that's gonna due out at some point because of how the fact that we still have to deal with the forms of the, the coronavirus pandemic. But as far as progressioning goes, that's we're actually getting pretty decent as far as likely following the actual rules and all that stuff, according to the government and stuff like that. I know because of how the fact that the actual the coronavirus videos always gets a lot of dislikes for the majority of the news out there, which it seems very understandable for those of you guys having a hard time trying to get out in some places, which is very understandable because I know for the fact that it is downright frustrating if you're ever to try to think of, you guys really want to have some fresh air and stuff like that, but seemingly to say that we still have to cope with the forms of the actual social distancing and stuff like that, as well as well, just pretty much everything as far as you already know. But thankfully we did manage to at least go out in some places, luckily, such as recently we've got into the beach and stuff like that, which is always a huge plus. So at least I can able to enjoy myself with the actual relaxation and all that stuff. And I think that's as much as I can say about this for the most part. Well, aside from, well, originally about the fact that, well, we're about to be having certain announcements. Although, relatively speaking, is the fact that recently, I don't suppose I've ever actually mentioned about this, ever since in the previous parts about this, especially with, both Defi and Jewel just haven't sort of talked about this, and that was the fact that recently we got some more information about the forms of the PlayStation 5 games are about to be coming up at some form or another, which is super exciting. However, though, I'm probably not going to discuss on this today, probably because of how the fact that at this point in time, I will try to able to promise you guys to talk about this until at some point whenever we get onto the next world at some point. So mainly with the forms of, well, to be more specifically, the next part of the Bikini Bottom itself. And, well, there's not much else you can say. So even then though, and thanks a lot, you stupid enemy decided to able to knock me back again. Which, by this point in time, is getting super ridiculous at this point, especially noticeable if the knockback is still present here. But at least on the upside of things, though, is the fact that it's not too much noticeable, I don't think. But either way, though, we'll just find ourselves until likely for later on, though. But either way, though, let's go ahead and just kick those enemies' butts, or in this case, some robots' butts during time. And hopefully by that time as well, we could able to actually just, well, not to give up on it this time. So, anyways, let's go and grab that checkpoint, and there we go. We got ourselves another golden spatula, by simply able to actually make our way to that for sake of that particular segment over there. So it's not that, you know, complicated, despite with the forms of a lot of knockback that continuously happening. But either way though, whatever. So anyways, let's go ahead and just get onto the actual idiot box teleportation thing, and that way we can able to actually just switch over to Patrick. Although I was expecting if I was going to be able to switch between him during the forms of that particular ending sequence of that section, but because the reason why we need to use Patrick to begin with is because obviously we need to create the ice rig. So hopefully we should be able to actually just use that. Although, kind of thing about it though, I'm pretty guaranteeing about the fact that that sock was actually going to be around here somewhere, but I seem to able to do not know where that is. But hopefully by the time it's on in future videos at some form or another, I will promise you guys I will able to show you guys every single of those missing songs I was missing on during the forms of the actual Let's Play of itself. Although, until when it gets to the point when the particular remake of this game will come out, then I would be able to actually just have no problems with trying to find every single collectibles again. Despite the fact that this is still a semi-blind playthrough, as you guys should know. So, as a result, yeah, it's gonna be one of those emphasis like this. So, yeah, I don't think we can able to find another sock around here, I don't think. But then again, if I somehow manage to research on specific stuff, then I will promise you guys I won't able to actually find those remaining socks. So, again, as I promised you guys, but I must admit that right away I do apologize with the actual lack of skills. Especially noticeable how the fact that it's kind of tricky sometimes if you have a first time playing a game for yourself, which seems pretty obvious for most newcomers out there who ever experienced the game for the first time. But still.
Sorry lad, but the carnival is closed. A pesky robot has taken over me ticket booth. And worse, me money. If you help me get rid of that no-good robot, I'll give you a big reward.
Alright, so before we do with all that stuff though, we'll switch over to SpongeBob quickly, because I think he could be the only one who can able to actually deal with the enemies super easily. Although, still you need to talk to Mr. Krabs with Patrick though, because, well, I can assure you because of how the fact that I'm presuming, well, it doesn't matter what characters you might able to select, but if you really want to go ahead and just continue your progressioning, sometimes you always have to utilize the mandatory characters in order to able to, well, just continue basically. So either way though, I guess we should probably, no matter what though, we'll just go ahead and switch over to Patrick, because I think, yeah, it looks like Patrick is the only one who's gonna be able to deal with that stuff. So, but again, I must admit though, it's a semi-blind, so even then no. But don't worry, whenever we get onto the remake of this game, then we should be able to be not so much completely blind or anything like that. So, but it's probably just for the coincidence of able to actually first time experiencing for this though. But anyways, let's go ahead and toss this watermelon over to this little particular thing here, and we should be able to actually just open up a new set of platforms, so that way we can able to actually progress. Even especially noticeable despite the fact that that Ferris wheel does manage to almost about to be sunk. So either way though, that way we can able to now continue for this point. But before we continue, we need to go ahead and talk to Mr. Krabs once again for able to discuss upon new things.
Well, it's not exactly what I had in mind. I hope my insurance covers all this. Why don't you try something less expensive? Or, I mean, dangerous. I need them crazy robots cleared out of the bumper boats. When you've destroyed them all, come back and see me.
So now we need to pop over to the bumper car segment, and that way we should probably be able to actually just to deal with even more enemies as a result, and then hopefully by that time we would be able to actually accomplish the entire mission like this. So, excuse me, I'm really sorry about this point folks, and I do apologize for that very weird voice commentary as you're probably going to be hearing, just because once again I can't help it for myself of, you know, eating too many chili dogs. I can't stress enough of how good these stuff are. I know some people might find it's a little bit more of a spicy kind of feeling, but I digress. So anyways, let's go ahead and continue, and well, oh look at that, 2020, the exact number of the entire year. Despite the fact that the entire year, well, except in the beginning, the majority of the year, though, is getting pretty downhill, as you guys should probably already know by this at this point. And from here, I'm not exactly sure why I was going to be doing this, but either way, though, basically, we need to whack those tikis right here. Now, I'm presuming you might actually get something rewarding out of this. But I might actually come back for later because, well, unless if I could able to actually destroy them all, as you see there. But I would classify for able to give myself a time over or anything like that. So as a result, yeah, there goes the time. But don't worry, I'll be back for this until at some point. So don't worry. So either way, let's just go ahead and continue. And by the way, something's worth mentioning too is the fact that since I've still managed to play through you know, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Sometimes it does take me a while to able to actually deal with the combat system and stuff like that. And thankfully, I still managed to able to mute out the character dialogues in between battle to battle. That's only because it just gets a little bit repetitive if you manage to able to hear the exact same amount of dialogue plenty of times. But I will still say it's the more of a definitive version of the game, despite there are some bad things about it, such as, of course, the resolution is now slightly off, and also another thing too is the fact that, well, to be more specifically, if you play this on a handheld mode, then the actual resolution gets a lot more worse than in forms of how it does it on docked, but that's probably just a little bit of a nitpicking coincidence anyway, so... But you know, you get the idea for that solution here. So, unfortunately we can't do anything in here, apart from the fact that we need to get SpongeBob's new ability, but it's kind of like an optional thing, because, well, we'll probably talk more about it whenever we get that particular ability, or especially noticeable if we're able to actually come back into this particular world, enjoy it at some point in the future, specifically if we're able to actually grab those remaining socks, if we're able to actually 100% everything. As far as shiny objects is concerned, well, we'll have to save that up on off-screen, because, well, it's more likely they appeared all over the place, and I don't feel like trying to actually show you guys some more farming grinding, although there's actually that one spot that I should probably recommend for able to actually farm more of those, well, to be more specifically, just trying to do some main or more grinding with all these little, you know, shiny objects, as far as you all might as well notice by this point. Tell you what though, if I get the PS4 version, which I still managed to do, it should be pretty exciting for me to able to achieve most of those trophies, since I'm pretty much almost going to be guaranteed able to collect them. So, seems it might be pretty exciting for me, especially on the Nintendo Switch version's case, that I can able to actually play this game on the go. In fact, if I got frustrated with certain harder battles in Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, or even Mario & Rabbids Kingdom Battle, or even sometimes a lot of trial and error in Zelda Breath of the Wild, then I probably should take a break on those if I have frustrated with it, and then as a result I can able to instantly get onto the forms of the remake whilst that remake will come out. So I'm really hoping they are able to actually contain the file selection screen, just like the forms of the original version of the game. But we'll just see what happens whenever that version decides to finally come out. And I'm super excited for it. Despite there are some cool key moments here and there, such as of course the actual fog distance and during the forms of in the actual parts itself. But either way though, we'll definitely see what happens when that time comes, basically. So yeah, anyway, so basically, oh yeah, we actually realized is that we ended up in the, I would say in the carnival portion, or in this case, the actual pier, which I think it could be something related to, oh, I don't know, it has been such a very long time since I actually known SpongeBob SquarePants for such a long time, since the entire decade ago, actually, but either way, though, that's for another time, though, but anyway, let's go ahead and, really? Gee, you haven't got me a... well, time to react to able to actually just trying to knock you out, but specifically that's as you can see that we actually now ended up on those little segments that, for whatever reason, it just becomes like an ice schedule or something. But basically in this part right here is the fact that we need to dish out a lot of robots, and that's all you really have to do in this objective. So once you're done with all that, then we should be able to get ourselves our next reward. Well, if we manage to able to go back to Mr. Krabs, I'm presuming this is what this is going for here, then, well, after we're done with all that stuff though, and yeah, this is where it leads us all the way back to the Goo Lagoon beach. So, before we deal with all that stuff though, we need to go ahead and go underneath the pier, and because of that, we need to get a lot of usage on these ice blocks, and that way, if we manage to traverse for the actual ice rig of any sorts, then we should be able to actually get ourselves, I would say another golden spatula in here somewhere, so we can at least able to actually expect that. And by the way, it's best to recommend if you wait until the time runs out, because otherwise, if you ended up placing the actual ice block right after or right before when the time runs out, then otherwise it will not count at all. We're able to actually just to go ahead and just like freeze the actual whole entire water again. But hey, at least there's an option for you if you really want to able to, well, just try to deal with that stuff, I suppose. So, but either way though, let's just go ahead and continue things on here. Speaking of the forms of the remake of the game, actually, we've only got about, I would classify for saying, since this is 10th of June today, so I'm guessing that makes it pretty obvious. But yeah, this is what happens right here. If you manage to place the ice cube, yeah, it will just disappear automatically, along with the actual the ice rig itself. So, keep that in mind, especially noticeable how the fact that if you really want to explore something so hard, then best to wait until when the actual time itself just managed to run out. So, that's as far as I can usually think about it. So, anyways, let's get on to this little teleport idiot box, and we should able to talk to Mr. Krabs again to get ourselves our next reward.
Here is your reward!
Oh wait, that's it? Oh, I thought it'd be more than that. For able to do this, a lot of, you know, dialogue, Mr. Krabs. I mean, that was kind of an easy paycheck. But, oh well, whatever. But anyways, we got ourselves about 27 of those golden spatulas right now. Oh, wait a minute, there's actually a tower bungee. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. But anyways, I think it's probably best to say we'll probably go ahead and switch over to SpongeBob. Although, kind of think about it, I was gonna able to do it as soon as I able to actually get into this for the sake of the forms of that segment over there. Oh wait, thankfully we did manage to able to teleport it from here, as automatically we managed to switch over to SpongeBob immediately. So, that's all for that. So anyways, let's go ahead and, well, just climb all the way up there, and hopefully we should be able to actually just to get ourselves the, believe it or not, the next golden spatula, I'm presuming. So even then, let's go ahead and begin with, before we continue, however, though, let's just go ahead and, oh yeah, there's the golden spatula just right down there. And we got about 28 of them so far. So even then though, looks like we've only got ourselves one more golden spatula left in Goo Lagoon. And hopefully, whenever we're done with that, then we can probably able to actually 100% everything. Although, we'll save that until likely for later. Specifically, whenever we get on to the third part of the game, specifically in the, you know, with the actual hub world of any sorts. But then again, we'll discuss on that later, but because you know, for now, we'll go ahead and move on to the last portion of the Whale Lagoon, and I think I have to use Patrick. But luckily, we got ourselves a bus stop just right near to us, so hopefully we would be able to actually activate certain switches and stuff like that. So hopefully we would be able to continuously progress in journey forms of some parts worth noting for. So yeah, you get the idea. So either way though, we'll just go ahead and head on to this point here. And again, use only Patrick on this part, because he's the only one who can able to utilize this ability for able to toss, you know, the fruit tossing and stuff. And hopefully we will be ended up in, well, the Bikini forms of the actual beach location. And seems to be more specifically, we ended up on the forms of the connecting towers kind of syndrome or something. Although, spoiler warning for those of you probably wondering, ever since the last video, sadly I can't able to actually just try to complete this. Although I'm not exactly sure if it's possible that I can able to complete that, I'm not exactly sure. But either way though, we'll just see what happens here. Oh wait, the switch is already active, isn't it? Yeah, it's already been active. Yep, looks like I seem to able to fail this mission no matter what though. But I'm sure there's going to be enough way to able to do this properly. But then again, there's also another way you can able to actually just to do this mission, which is actually a cheating way for doing it. But I'm not going to mention about this right about now, just because again, this is a semi-blind playthrough, as I told you guys several times before. So we'll ended up going back over all the way from here. And then if I somehow managed to fail on this or something like that, then I'm also able to come back for this later. If I somehow mess things up with this entire, you know, connected towers puzzle. But if not, then I'm also able to be, well, be fully a miracle. But sometimes though, my puzzle strategy can get pretty messed up sometimes. Especially noticeable how the fact that I'm pretty much used to with the actual main platforming or anything like that. So as a result, yeah, I must admit though, for this point guys, I have no idea what I'm gonna do for this for the sake of time. Especially noticeable, it's bad enough that I've seemed able to suck at this puzzle so badly. But again, whenever we get onto the remake game, which is specifically rehydrated version, then I should able to actually make things a little bit easier and simple or something like that. But then again, no, it's just a semi-blind, so there's not much else I can talk about. But in fact, relatively speaking at this point, it's the fact that, you remember when I said this before, ever since on Monday, that recently we've now finally able to actually get our hands on the forms of the Sonic the Hedgehog movie on the DVD/Blu-ray versions as well. Turns out that recently Paramount and Sega has now finally confirmed there's going to be a sequel in development. So I was like, well, I'm guessing it's a good choice for me, because even then though, we really looking forward to see what the sequel of the Sonic the Hedgehog movie will be all about. But I'm guessing it's probably because of Tails he's going to be in the film, obviously. And also Jim Carrey was now obviously the proper design of Dr. Robotnik, so I can't wait to see how this turns out. Well, apologize for that little spoiler warning for those who have not seen the film yet, or the first film I should say. But either way though, I just want to point it out with the forms of that specific update. But even then though, I can't wait to see how that's going to turn out. Even though I don't know exactly when that's going to release though, but we'll see what happens until the future time comes. So, but you know. Okay, if you're probably wondering why I just walked all the way back here again, this is pretty obvious because I don't know if I can able to actually do this normally, because usually, not only because I'm usually stuck at the forms of the puzzle missions like these did, well, it's unlike any forms of how it does on certain Mario games that I seem to be able to do those no problem. Well, for some exceptions mind you, but either way though, because of that though, I just have no idea what I'm gonna do. But don't worry, we'll be back onto this world eventually whenever we get some more abilities for SpongeBob and stuff like that. Because for now, let's go ahead and leave Goo Lagoon for now on. But then again, we'll come back for this world again whenever we do with some more stuff. Specifically, you know, obtaining some more power-ups or more abilities for SpongeBob and stuff. And since we actually got enough of those golden spatulas as it is, so I think simply to say, we'll go ahead and not only just trying to get ourselves some more, you know, shiny objects as you see here, but hopefully we should be able to actually open up the second portion of the Bikini Bottom hub world, as you can see over to the distance over there. But before we deal with all that stuff, however, though, I'm presuming we might as well able to actually come across into, I would say, the next boss, which appears to be takes place in Poster Dome. So either way, though, I wonder what boss fight are we going to be face off against.
I have brought you two here to face a great challenge.
I've got nerves of steel and muscles of sand.
And eyes of jelly.
My Poseidon has been breached by a mighty foe whom you must vanquish.
Bring it on, Your Highness! Bring it on!
In this corner, defending the Poseidon, a small square guy. And his challenger, a huge murderous robot shaped like a squirrel.
Look, it's a giraffe.
I think I need to get home to feed Gary.
Oh hey, King Neptune, how's it going there? So anyways, here's the forms of the next boss fight in this game, which appears to be Robo Sandy, which, you know, unlike any forms of how it does it on downtown Bikini Bottom, you can't play as her. So instead, we need to fight against with the robot version of herself. And basically, this entire boss fight, as you can see on this boss gauge, is actually a lot different compared to the previous boss fights that we already fight against. I think the last time we've already done a boss fight was actually the King Jellyfish kind of thing about it, ever since in Jellyfish Fields. So yeah, basically, this battle has 9 units of health. So every time, whenever we get on to this next part, specifically, for example, since we're going to be playing as SpongeBob in the first phase, all you have to do is just basically just have to utilize the actual ground pounds kind of ability, and that way it'll deal the amount of damage to the forms of Robo's, you know, robot Sandy Cheeks. So yeah, you have to do this like 3 times, and then once you've done so with that, then onwards to the next phase. So yeah, that's what I can say about this particular point.
I wanna play!
Pantic, we're not playing. We're fighting for our lives.
I wanna play!
Oh, all right.
So yeah, for example, if I somehow manage to able to deal with like 3 units of health away from Robo Sandy as SpongeBob, then it will able to actually immediately win on to the next phase, which appears to be phase number 2, where basically we can now take control of Patrick once again, except now that Robo Sandy does have a different attack. And especially noticeable how the fact that although the entire portion of the battle is pretty simple basically, and because of that though, that's basically in this first phase you're gonna have to utilize the ground pound ability as SpongeBob and stuff, and then in the second phase, as soon as when Robo Sandy's head's just managed able to got out, basically that's how the fact that, well, as you saw in just any seconds worth noting for, although seemingly to say you're gonna have to avoid that particular attack by the way. So as soon as when she's able to do that exactly the same attack, ground pounds in the exact time, and then this is what you're supposed to do. Basically, you're just gonna have to run up and grab Robo Sandy's head. Then afterwards, though, you're gonna have to grab it all the way from that electrical device thing, and then that way it should deal the amount of damage. But even then, though, again, you have to do this like 3 times in a row, and then as soon as you've done that 3 times in a row, then you can move on to the third and the final phase. So because of that, though, it's actually pretty easy if you manage to able to get the pattern down. So, but even then, though, that's all I can really think about it. It's actually pretty simple and easy kind of thing about it. Of course, there are some more underwear health that you can able to actually grab, in case if you have struggling with that particular boss battle, as you probably already noticed. But either way though, it's not that too much of a noticeable, I don't think. Especially noticeable how easy this boss fight actually represents. Especially this is the beginning after all.
Oh, that was fun! Your turn, SpongeBob!
Oh? We...
And on to the final part right now, which appears to be pretty much exactly the same thing, except, well, obviously we're now switching over to back to SpongeBob again. However, here's the thing this time around though, is the fact that, well, there's actually that particular exact same attack as you saw, but except now we need to specifically try to dodge in between, instead of like just trying to jump over it. So yeah, as you can see right there, rather than just able to actually just ground pound as normally, although you still need to ground pound, obviously. But here's the thing though, in order to deal the damage on Robo Sandy this time, then we have to utilize the Bubble Bash ability until you're able to attack her. So yeah, that's all I can really say about this. And what's cool about this battle though is the fact that we're able to see King Neptune, which he's obviously first appeared in Season 1 in specifically in King Neptune's, well, Neptune's spatula episode, when SpongeBob did manage to got his hands on the golden spatula, which reminds me, could it be possible if how the fact that we could able to grab, well, the insane amount of the golden spatulas as we could, or anything? I don't know, I just get a little bit confused right there. So, but even then, it's pretty nice to see King Neptune in the actual background as you see there, which is pretty cool. Especially noticeable how the fact that it always trying to reference some older episodes in the entire TV series, which has always been a key factor about this. So anyways, let's deal with this last hit, and... oh, jeez. Okay. There we go.
quite a battle. Tell him what he's won, Johnny. It's a new power, the Bubble Bowl. But wait, there's more. A golden spatula. And that's not all. A gift certificate for $5.32 to Dean's Little Shop of Dried Fish Flakes and Flowers.
Oh, thank you. It all means so much. I promised myself I wouldn't cry.
Cry all you want, but not here. We just wax the floors.
Alright, since we've now done with this particular battle, I believe we are now moving on to the second part of the Bikini Bottom hub world itself. So, yeah.
Hey, Plankton.
Yes, what is it?
I was just wondering why all the robots seem to be coming from inside the chum bucket.
Have they? I really haven't noticed.
Yeah. And then there's that big flashing neon sign that says Robot Headquarters.
SpongeBob, I'm your friend, right?
No, not really.
Exactly, and as your non-friend, I worry about you. Like right now, you're thinking too much. I'm worried you might really hurt yourself. Tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna think for you. This way you won't hurt yourself, and you can just keep working on getting me into the chum bucket.
Thanks, Plankton. You're the best non-friend a friend could have. No more thinking for me.
So yeah, in this instance, it's the fact that we can now able to actually explore around rather than just getting interrupted with another loading screen between one and another. So this means about the fact that we can now able to actually explore into Sandy's tree dome, and especially noticeable with the mermaid layer, I'm presuming. That we'll discuss more on that later. And also same applies to, specifically, most importantly, more worlds. So I think in each and every single part of Bikini Bottom does manage able to contain like 3 each worlds or something like that, which I'm presuming that's what they're going for here. So it's kind of like the same thing for Super Mario 64 when you're trying to explore around, you know, Princess Peach's castle, depending on what segments you're going to be going into. In fact, I'll discuss more on the actual similarities between this and Super Mario 64 until later on. But either way though, there's not much else I can usually think about it. So now we can able to actually access to this new ability called the actual Sponge Bowl. This means about the fact that in order to able to perform that ability, you have to like stand completely still. Then if you manage to able to press the circle button, as what you're going to be seeing on the PlayStation 2 version's footage, that you can able to actually pull off. It's some sort of like a bowling ball kind of ability. And as a result, that way you can able to actually just, well, what else? Trying to able to pull off some of those intense moves or something. I don't know. I just get a little bit confused right now. And also, as you can see, we got ourselves a new underwear extending of your health. So that way we got ourselves 5 hit points. So, pretty cool. Especially noticeable, it gets like pretty progressively harder as you progress. Which, either way though, it's best to recommend you do that. So that way you can able to have yourselves an easier time with it. So, now we just actually got ourselves 30 of those golden spatulas so far. So even then, we still got a whole ways to go. Especially noticeable with like, you know, keep on grinding for more of those, you know, shiny objects as to be expected. So even then though, let's go ahead and continue for this point here.
Let me teach you how to bowl a bubble. Press this button and you'll bowl a bubble that can knock down robots from a safe distance.
Wow!
Remember though, the bubble bowl only works on things that are close to the ground.
Got it.
Yeah, thanks, Bubble Buddy, but it's just the fact that we've technically already achieved that already, so there's no point for able to get onto that. But before you're able to actually end things off in this one right there, let's go ahead and trade some more socks into, well, to get ourselves our next golden spatula. So that was now 31 golden spatulas that we've actually collected so far. So, but then again, as I said this before, there's actually still more to it, but until eventually when it gets to the point that in the majority of summer, that we can probably able to actually just to continue on with this game, because again, this game, especially with the TV series actually, always reminds me of summer for some reason, except, well, at the moment, because of the COVID-19 and then some bullcrap like that, there's not much else I can usually decide to hum about. But anyways, let's unlock this level right here. And as well as from that, we can also unlock the another level. Well, technically there's also another level too, but since it's already unlocked from the start though, if you manage to get access to that particular point. But we're gonna unlock another level as well, which appears to be Sand Mountain, and also another one which is Rock Bottom. So, in the sake of clarity, we're gonna have to end things off at this point right there. So join me next time on Let's Play SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom, that we're gonna be hit on to the next world in this game, which appears to be Rock Bottom. So this will be interesting, so see you guys until on Friday. Later, fellas.